Good evening and welcome to the third installment of Whiskey and Watches with Nick. I'm Nick. This is the whiskey. This is the watch. Christopher Ward C60 Elite. And tonight we are talking about a really fun, really exciting whiskey, the Port Askaig 110. We are continuing our dwell time in northeastern Islay. We previously did Bunnahabhain 12, we did Coolila 12, and now right next to Coolila, just sort of sauntering down what I imagine is a very picturesque path, we arrive at Port Askaig. You'll notice that I don't have a big, gorgeous 750 milliliter bottle of the whiskey with me tonight. I have a tasting vial from one of my quarterly Flaviar taster deliveries. In this case, Peat It Volume 2. See what they did there? Peat It. It's astoundingly clever. Anyway, what their marketing may be lacking is made up for by the fun and the variety of the whiskeys they deliver. I'm not sponsored by Flaviar, although that would be pretty fantastic. Just enthusiastically sharing one of the whiskeys that I received through them. On to the whiskey that sounded like a paid plug, and unfortunately it wasn't. The Port Askaig 110 is, as you would guess, bottled at 55% ABV, aged in American oak casks. Refreshingly and wonderfully non-chill filtered and non-colored, as you can tell by that alluring sort of hay amber sort of color. It's just a fantastic whiskey, very complex, a lot going on here, especially compared to what I thought was a not super engaging whiskey, the Bunnahabhain, and what I thought was a wonderful, although not overly complex whiskey, the Coolila. There's a lot more going on here. So whether that's attributable to the higher ABV is an interesting question. On the nose, smoke. No, really, smoke. Yeah, a little ashy, campfirey kind of smoke. Very nice. Not like, not a nuclear phenol bomb. Not blowing me away, but noticeable and enjoyable. Very slight sweetness. I shouldn't even say slight sweetness. Moderate sweetness. Some kind of fruit. Probably an apple. Maybe a little tarry or sort of coal type smell. Not in an off-putting sense. Again, I like these aromas in the Islas. And this one has a little bit of that. Hint of maybe like, I don't know, if you rubbed some leather in mint leaves, you might get something approximating what I'm getting here. Maybe like a little citrus rind coming and going. It's kind of there, it's kind of not. Let's taste it. Let's get to the important stuff. Let's taste it. Oh, yeah, peat. Just lots of fresh, fun peat. I know fresh peat is probably the stupidest oxymoron that one could think of. Sees to how it's 2,000 old rotten plant matter and like dead sea animals, but fresh peat. You heard it here first, folks. A little bit of the smoke on the palate, less pronounced on the palate. That little hint of something spicy that was on the nose is a bit more pronounced here. Could be like a clove or an allspice, depending on how you experience those rather jarring spices. Some bitterness on the palate, maybe that come and go limonene sort of citrus rind I was getting on the nose and then not getting on the nose is asserting itself as some bitterness on the finish here. I need a whole bottle because this one calls for a second dram. I mean, doesn't all whiskey call for a second dram? But this one really does. And I say that because it's complex enough that I would actually pour 2 drams and I would just have the second dram waiting and opening up, maybe even with the water pre-added into it, while I worked through the initial dram purely neat. I do only have 1 dram, so we are going to, given the 55% ABV that we're blessed to be working with today, I am going to drop some water in, if I'm smart enough to work this new technology called a spoon. And I don't feel like in any danger of breaking the whiskey with that minute amount of water. This is, again, a fairly assertive whiskey at 55% and nicely smoked. See if that opens up at all. Yeah. Pulling apart the smoke and the sweetness a little bit. Actually, and I love how water does this to the Islas sometimes. It's counterintuitive, and I don't understand the chemistry behind it yet. But it actually makes the smoke, it makes the sweeter. It makes the apple more appley, if you will. And it does the most astounding thing. It makes the smoke almost ashier, almost more woody and ashier. So again, very counterintuitive, but most welcome. Well, I am not going to make you folks sit through the next 10 minutes while I let that open up. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you're intrigued by the whiskey, and I hope that you're eager to try it yourself. If you're a fan of the Islas, then you really do need to get your hands on this. I'll show you the cute little Flaviar tasting vial. And really just a very, very cool, very interesting, obviously very artisanally made, really premier quality Islay. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Stay healthy, stay happy, drink whiskey, love watches, and take care of yourselves.